First, there was nothing. Then, there was the internet. On October 29th, 1969, the internet was officially born. At that point in time, there weren't many restrictions on who could access what kind of data. However, in today's day and age, that is simply no longer true. Increasingly, there are more and more restrictions being placed on individuals when they want to reach certain kinds of data. And there's not a more comprehensive program in place to block data access than the Great Firewall of China. Hello, my name is Dasher Burkhardt, and today I'll be talking about data censorship and some of the techniques employed by the Great Firewall of China. So, the Great Firewall in China was set up by the Chinese government to censor data that they felt may lead to political instability if their citizens were able to get a hold of it. And some of the techniques they employ are IP blocking and IP address misdirection. So for IP blocking, when we're trying to connect to a specific site, we usually think that we're using the URL address. In actuality, what we're sending is a request to access a certain IP address. However, these numbers are very hard to memorize. So instead, what we use is something called a domain name service. It's much like a phone book. So in this case, when we're looking up a name or a URL, it's going to give us a number, in this case, the IP address. So when we're looking for Wikipedia, in actuality, when we type in this URL address, the computer knows through the domain name service or system that we're trying to connect to this specific IP address. However, behind the Great Firewall of China, what they have is a collection of IP addresses that are restricted for their citizens. So the Great Firewall is allowed to see that IP request and then immediately jump in and block it. IP address misdirection is something in the same vein of IP blocking. In this case, instead of just blocking outright access to that IP address, it's going to direct it to a different IP address. So in this case, we can think of it as a typo in a phone book. So say that I want to reach my sister, but instead the phone book is going to give me my brother's number. So in this case, let's say that we're trying to reach google.com, which is the American version of Google and does not really have any restrictions on the kind of data that you can access. When the Great Firewall does is that it has some control over the domain name system. So in this case, it matches google.com to a different IP address. So we're redirected. In this case, we go to google.cn. In this case, google.cn is the Chinese government version of Google, which, as we can see in the images, gives us different image results or data results. So, why is this important? Why do we need to know this? It's becoming more and more common for countries to crack down and start placing restrictions on what kind of data their citizens can access. It may become more and more popular as time goes on, and it may affect some of us that aren't currently being censored. Thus, it's important for us to understand what these techniques are and how they may affect us. Thank you.